3 days after the wedding, the corral became a battlefield. The chestnut mare, La Lluvia, reared eyes wild with a fury no one had ever seen. Her nostrils flared, her pinned ears flat against her skull. This was not a horse misbehaving. This was pure primal rejection.
Hold her, you useless fools. Don't let her break free.
4 seasoned ranch hands scrambled backward, ropes slipping through their fingers. They had never seen La Lluvia like this, not in a decade. Upstairs, Christine pressed closer to the window. She had come to watch her new husband mount her favorite mare. Instead, she saw chaos.
He once said that Mare would never let a coward handle her. Why am I remembering that now?
It was Alejandro, her first husband, who had laughed those words years ago, stroking the gentle mare as Christine stood beside him.
But James isn't a coward, is he?
She pressed her hand harder against her mouth, watching the man she had married just days ago being humiliated by an animal he could not control. Down below, La Lluvia spun and kicked again, her hind legs sending James staggering back, his black jacket coated in dust.
Why can't I shake that memory? Alejandro's laugh, those words, never let a coward handle her. He meant something by it.
2 years ago, Alejandro had died in a horseback accident. The official report blamed a wild stallion, but Christine had never questioned it until now.
Then came James. So charming, so ready to console. He proposed barely 6 months after the funeral, sweeping her off her feet when she was most vulnerable. But a horse doesn't lie. La Lluvia never reared at anyone before. And that phrase, it felt like a warning from beyond the grave.
She descended to the stable, her heart pounding. La Lluvia stood in her stall, ears forward. As Christine reached out, the mare lowered her massive head and nuzzled her hand, as gentle as a kitten.
You've never acted like this before. Why him? Why only him?
At dinner, the tension was a third guest. Christine forced herself to eat, while James, immaculate in a dark suit, recounted a business deal as if nothing had happened.
You are still bothered by that mare. It's nothing, a stubborn animal trying to assert dominance. I'll have Patrick work her harder tomorrow.
I am fine. Just a headache. The sun was strong today. He's lying. About something. Alejandro, I promise you, I will find out what happened that day.
Later that morning, Christine found James in the living room, already dressed in a crisp suit, reading as if nothing had happened.
James, please, why do you think La Lluvia reacted to you that way? She's never once shown such viciousness in 10 years.
She's a horse. They can be unpredictable. Perhaps she simply decided to test a new authority. Don't read so much into it.
But she's gentle with everyone else. The ranch hands, Patrick, me. It's only you. That's not random. There must be a reason.
Reason? The only reason is that she's dangerous. I won't have a liability like that on my property. I'll make arrangements to sell her.
Sell her? She was Alejandro's horse. She's been here for a decade. You can't just get rid of her like unwanted livestock.
This is my ranch now. I decide what stays and what goes. You'd do well to remember whose name is on those papers.
A chill ran down Christine's spine. It wasn't just anger, it was calculation. He wanted the mare gone, and he didn't care what it cost her.
Of course, James. She'll stay out of your way. I'll make sure of it. He's afraid of her. But why? What does that mare know that I don't?
That afternoon, Christine slipped out to the stable, her heart heavy. Old Patrick was there, mending a bridle in the dim light.
Patrick, I need to ask you something about the day Alejandro died.
Ah, Senora. That was a dark day. I have not spoken of it since.
His weathered hands stopped their work. He looked at her with tired eyes, as if he had been waiting for this question.
The report said he was riding a wild stallion, but you were here. Was that true?
Patrick set the bridle down. For a long moment, he stared at the floor, then finally spoke.
No, Senora. It wasn't true. He rode Soul that day. A calm gelding, the gentlest horse in the stable. I saddled him myself.
Then why would anyone lie about the horse? Unless...
Patrick hesitated. glancing toward the corral where James had stood that morning. "There is more, Senora. Senor James. He was here that morning, at the corral before Donna Alejandra left."
James was there. The same James who now wants La Lluvia gone. Alejandro, what did he do to you?
That night, Christine searched through old newspapers in the dim library, her fingers trembling as she turned brittle pages. The headline read, "Rancher dies in horse accident. Wild stallion blamed." But Patrick had sworn he rode Saul.
It's a lie. The report is a lie. Someone changed the story to cover up what really happened.
The next morning, she spotted the young ranch hand Miguel near the barn, the only other person who had been there that day.
Miguel, wait. I need to ask you about the accident. What did you see?
No, Senora. I saw nothing. Please, leave me alone. If I talk, he'll kill me. James already warned me to keep my mouth shut.
From the veranda, James watched. His cigar glowed in the evening light, his eyes never leaving Christine.
I want every move she makes reported to me, who she talks to, where she goes, understood.
He knows I am searching. The walls have ears now. I have to be more careful than ever.
The hacienda had become a cage. Christine knew she needed eyes outside, someone James couldn't control. She slipped into town the next morning, disguised in a simple dress and veil, and entered a small, anonymous office.
This is everything I know. The falsified accident report. A witness who fears speaking. My husband was murdered, and I need proof.
The investigator took the envelope without a word, his silence more reassuring than any promise. She had crossed a line. When she returned, James was already waiting in the courtyard. His calm was more terrifying than rage.
I told you the stables were off limits, and yet you disappear into town. Who did you see?
I needed a dressmaker. My clothes are still half packed from the move. I wasn't near the stables.
Don't lie to me. I have eyes in every corner. You will cancel your trip. You will stay where I can see you.
She nodded, her heart hammering. As he turned away, she felt the sting of a bruise already forming on her arm.
He's more afraid than I am. The truth is coming, and he knows it.
A week passed under James's watch. Then a note appeared, hidden in her sewing basket. The investigator's words were sharp. James and Alejandro were partners. They fought over money and dissolved the business days before Alejandro died. It was enough motive for murder. Christine's hands trembled as she lowered the note.
Patrick, I have news. James had a reason to want Alejandro dead.
Then we must find proof. I remember the saddle. It's still in the barn.
They rushed to the barn. Patrick lifted an old saddle from a dark corner, his hands trembling. He held it to the light. The girth strap, the one that held the saddle on Alejandro's horse, was cut, not worn, not frayed, cleanly sliced through by a blade.
Alejandro was murdered. Someone wanted him to fall.
The proof was in her hands, but whose hands had held the knife? That question remained. A shadow in the barn door slammed open, crashing against the wall. James stood silhouetted in the harsh sunlight, his fists clenched, veins bulging on his neck.
What is this? A secret meeting behind my back? What are you two plotting?
Before they could answer, James snatched the saddle from Patrick's hands. He stared at the sliced girth, and his face drained of color, then flushed crimson.
You, old fool. You've poisoned her mind with your lies. Pack your things. You are fired.
James, stop. He's been loyal to this family for 40 years. You can't dismiss him like this.
But James shoved her aside with enough force to send her stumbling. His eyes held a wildness she had never seen before.
And that mare, she's a menace. I'll have her sold by morning. I want her gone from my sight.
That night, Christine slipped out to the courtyard and pressed a note into the hand of a young ranch hand, her whispered words urgent.
Please, let this reach the investigator. I need more time. Just a little more time.
The boy spurred his horse into the darkness, carrying Christine's last fragile hope toward the city. The investigator found Miguel hiding in a back stall, his face hollow with fear. It took hours of gentle coaxing. In a quiet room, Miguel finally broke. His voice was a rasp, his hands shaking as he spoke.
I saw him. Senor James. He was at the corral before Don Alejandro left. He was messing with the saddle strap.
The confession was written down, each damning word. Miguel signed his name at the bottom, his face wet with tears. By morning, the statement was in Christine's hands. She read it twice, her body trembling with a storm of grief and fury.
Finally, a witness. James was there, his hands on that saddle. He murdered Alejandro.
That afternoon, James stormed into the study and ripped through her drawers. Her notes, the newspaper clipping, everything spelled out her investigation. He held up the clipping with the false accident report, his knuckles white. A cold, cruel smile spread across his face.
So the little widow thinks she can play detective. She'll learn what happens when you cross me.
He knows. He'll try to destroy the evidence. I have to move now, before he silences us all.
Heavy footsteps halted outside her door. Then it crashed open. James silhouetted against the flickering corridor lamp. Her notes crumbled in his fist.
Where is the statement? Burn it in front of me, or I swear you'll regret ever setting foot in this house.
Never. You murdered Alejandro, and I have the proof. You won't escape justice this time.
His hand cracked across her cheek with a sickening sound. She staggered, but her tear-filled eyes remained locked on his. Later, the stable was a fortress. Patrick and two ranch hands stood shoulder to shoulder before La Luvia's stall, rusted pitchforks raised.
You will not harm this mare, senor. She stays as long as we breathe.
You'll hang for this, old man. All of you. I'll see you strung up.
But the men did not move. James stormed out, his threats swallowed by the night, leaving the mare safe.
I'll leave at first light. The sheriff will have this statement before James can destroy everything.
The hours crawled. She clutched her mother's pistol, and the witness's words, waiting for the sky to break. At dawn, Christine placed Miguel's signed confession and the cut saddle on the sheriff's worn desk. He read the confession, examined the sliced girth, and his face hardened into grim resolve. Without hesitation, he ordered 2 deputies to bring in James Delgado. At the corral, the deputies surprised James, clamping handcuffs on him as his ledger fell to the dirt.
Get these off. This is a setup. I demand my lawyer.
But within hours, a sharp-suited attorney arrived, and money changed hands for a bail bond. James strutted out of the jail, straightening his jacket, his eyes cold with satisfaction. Christine, though shaken, met with a top lawyer to prepare for the coming war in court.
He thinks he's won, but the truth is a fire that won't be extinguished.
The arraignment was set. The battle for Alejandro's soul was about to begin. In the pre-trial hearing, the defense lawyer circled Miguel like a vulture, dragging up a years-old bribe he had once taken. The lawyer's voice dripped with scorn. You took money to lie then. Why should anyone believe you now?
No. That was a mistake. I was young and scared. But what I saw that morning is the truth.
They're trying to make him look like a liar. I won't let them bury the truth.
Christine hurried to find the old artisan who had crafted Alejandro's saddle decades ago. He studied the sliced girth under a magnifying glass, his wrinkled fingers tracing the clean cut. Then he testified, this was not wear. A sharp blade sliced through. It was meant to break. That night, James slipped an envelope to a jailer, promising a fortune if a cell door were left unbolted. But the guard reported the bribe. The judge revoked bail, and James was dragged from the cell in chains. The trial date was set. Christine looked toward the judge's bench, the storm ahead, but her spine was steel. The courtroom was packed. The prosecutor rose, pointing at James Delgado as a greedy interloper who killed for profit. He laid out the cut saddle, the falsified report, and Miguel's sworn testimony, a damning tapestry of blood and deception. Then Miguel took the stand, his voice trembling but clear, describing James near Alejandro's horse that morning.
I saw him near Don Alejandro's horse, messing with the saddle strap. He was muttering something under his breath.
Next, Christine was called. She wore black, her face pale but composed, a widow seeking truth, not revenge. She described La Lluvia's gentle nature, the mare's violent rejection of James, and Alejandro's words, She would never let a coward handle her.
That horse never lies. She sensed something in James that terrified her, the same thing that killed my husband.
The defense attorney sprang up, a mocking grin splitting his face. So a horse's neighing is evidence now? This is a court of law, not a barnyard tale. But Christine didn't flinch, her gaze fixed on the jurors, her silence a shield. Whispers swept the gallery. The seed of doubt had been planted. The defense attorney lunged, pointing at Miguel. Did you not once lie under oath for a handful of pesos? Miguel's face crumpled. He stammered an explanation. But the damage was done. The jury's eyes hardened. Then the saddlemaker took the stand, holding the infamous girth aloft for all to see. He compared the clean slice to the frayed threads of natural wear. This was no accident, he declared. Some jurors leaned forward, their expressions sharpening. The fiction of an accident was unraveling. Patrick, now white-haired but steady, testified that Alejandro rode Sol, the calmest gelding in the stable. He added, the report that said he rode a wild stallion was a lie. I saw the horse myself that morning. James's lawyer shot to his feet, but the judge overruled. The truth was slipping through their fingers. For the first time, James's mask slipped. A flicker of genuine fear crossed his pale face. The jury now held a tangled knot of doubt and possibility, the verdict hanging by a thread. The prosecutor asked one final question. Christine's voice, though trembling, suddenly became steel.
My first husband, Alejandro, once had told me, esa yegua nunca dejaría que un cobarde la tocara. She would never let a coward touch her.
A hush fell. Even the judge seemed to lean forward.
La Lluvia never lies. She knew, she sensed, what James was, and she refused to let a murderer ride her.
A collective gasp rippled through the gallery. One older woman pressed a handkerchief to her eyes. The jury stirred, several of them glancing at James with a new, unmistakable clarity. James's lawyer shot to his feet, sputtering objections, but the protest was weak, a leaf in a gale. James himself had gone pale, his knuckles white where they gripped the table edge.
He knows we see it now. The coward, his own actions unmasked.
The emotional tide had turned. The silent witness, a mare, had spoken louder than any perjured tongue. In closing, the prosecutor laid out the evidence. A cut girth, a false report, a witness's terror, and a mare who knew the truth. He pointed at Laluvia, the only innocent witness whose primal instinct had exposed the cowardice of a murderer. The defense attorney's rebuttal dripped with scorn. You cannot hang a man because a horse threw a tantrum. The jury filed out, their faces unreadable. The courtroom emptied into a heavy silence. Outside, Christine and Patrick sat on a worn wooden bench, their shadows long in the waning light.
12 strangers hold my life in their hands, and Alejandro's soul.
Later, Christine slipped into the quiet chapel. The flickering candles were her only company.
Please, let justice be done. For Alejandra, for La Lluvia.
The flame caught, reflecting in her dark eyes. All she could do now was wait. The clock ticked past midnight. In the jury room, 12 citizens argued, wept and wrestled with the truth that a horse had always known. The courtroom reconvened as the jury filed back in, their footsteps heavy with consequence. Christine held her breath. The foreman, a stern-faced farmer, handed a folded paper to the bailiff with trembling hands. The judge unfolded it, his voice echoing off the stone walls. The defendant is guilty of murder in the first degree. A collective gasp swept the room. Christine's knees buckled, but old Patrick caught and steadied her.
Guilty. After all this time, justice.
James's face drained of all color, his mouth opening in silent protest, his knees hitting the floor.
Number this can't. It's a mistake.
The judge banged his gavel for order, the sharp crack demanding silence in the chaos. But the gallery had erupted. The truth, so long buried, had finally broken free. As deputies led James away in chains, Christine met his eyes one last time. There was only cold fury. 3 days later, the judge pronounced the sentence, his voice a death knell. You shall hang by the neck until dead. Christine stood in the gallery, her face still as stone. There was no triumph, only the cold satisfaction of justice. James's glare was a blade, but she met it without flinching. All his power had been stripped away.
No remorse, only hate. But your hate can't hurt us anymore.
That afternoon, she visited the small cemetery beneath the mesquite tree, where Alejandro rested.
Soon, my love, the man who killed you will face his judgment. Rest now.
The breeze ruffled her hair, and in the distance, La Lluvia lifted her head, as if she knew.
She always knew. The silent witness who finally spoke.
As the sun set, casting long shadows, Christine felt the first stirrings of peace in 2 years. She walked back to the hacienda, the weight of grief finally lifting from her shoulders. 3 weeks later, the day of execution dawned. A new gallows stood stark against the pale sky. James, now in prison clothes, was led up the steps. His face was pale, but his jaw was set. Christine stood on the hill, her veil lifted, watching without a tremor. She would not look away. The executioner placed the hood over James's head. The trapdoor swung open with a heavy crack.
It's over. Finally, it's over.
Silence fell. She exhaled. A breath she'd held for 2 years finally released. She walked back to the ranch alone, the morning sun warming her path. The air felt lighter. That night, in the quiet stable, she rested her forehead against La Lluvia's warm neck.
You knew, girl. Always you knew. It's over now. You are safe forever.
The mare nickered softly, as if answering, and Christine finally let the tears flow freely. The ink was barely dry on the documents that transferred both ranches into her name. James Delgado's legacy was ash. She gave the ranch hands their freedom papers. Then she handed Patrick the keys to the stable, calling him foreman. One afternoon, she led La Lluvia from the stall. The mare's ears pricked forward, no longer burdened by strangers' hands. Christine mounted with ease, and they rode together to the far pasture, a silent communion restored.
I can feel him in this wind. Alejandro, as if he's riding beside us.
They stopped at the graves under the mesquite tree. She dismounted and laid fresh flowers on Alejandro's headstone.
You will never wear a saddle for a coward again, my brave girl. I swear it.
That evening, she built a small fire in the courtyard and fed it James's jacket and his ledgers, watching the flames purify.
The last trace of him is gone. Now, only this land and the love we built remain.
The smoke rose into the velvet night, and the hacienda, for the first time in years, breathed easy. 16 years passed. The ranch prospered under Christine's hand, and lines of wisdom etched her once young face. La Lluvia, now 26, moved slower, her muscle flecked with gray, but her eyes still held that deep knowing. One autumn evening, she lay down in the fresh straw and did not rise. Her legs could no longer carry her. The veterinarian shook his head. There was nothing more to be done. Christine dismissed the others. She would stay the night.
You brought me justice, girl. You gave me back my life. I will not leave you now.
The hours slipped by, marked only by the mare's labored breath and Christine's whispered gratitude. As the first light of dawn painted the stable, La Lluvia lifted her head one last time and looked at Christine. Then she sighed, a long, soft breath, and her great heart stilled. Christine pressed her forehead to the mare's neck and wept without shame. The next morning, ranch hands carried a linen-wrapped form to the shade of the mesquite tree. Old Patrick, weeping silently, helped lower La Lluvia into the earth beside Don Alejandro. Christine knelt and pressed a small stone marker into the soil. La Lluvia, fiel testigo. She placed white flowers on both graves, their petals resting against the headstones.
Together now, as you always were. Guarded by the faithful witness, who spoke when no one else would.
She rose slowly, her hand brushing the headstone one last time. The ranch lay silent under the golden sunset as she began to walk away. Her silhouette paused, and she looked back over her shoulder at the two graves. A soft smile touched her lips, and she turned, walking toward the hacienda. The distant hacienda glowed in the dying light, and two white flowers swayed gently in the breeze.